My name is Dave. Last Sunday, Pastor Greg had asked me if I would like to share my story with a few of you folks.
Whenever you're ready, wherever you want to start.
Okay, just let me know when we're going. I went home last night and I asked my wife Jennifer if she would be okay if I shared my story with you folks. And most of all, I had to ask myself if I was ready to disclose this much information about myself to my church family. I grew up in California. I have two brothers, two sisters. I'm the youngest one in the family. My dad was a truck driver. He only came home on the weekends. So my brothers and sisters all were very interested in church, and I used to watch them line up Sunday morning, and my dad would give them offering, and then they'd go off to church, and I would tag along with my dad and help him work on the truck, and it was just he was my hero. So I went in the Army at the age of 17, basic training, and then off to Korea for a year. I was only 18 then, and I was introduced to a drug called heroin. I'd say I was addicted to heroin for about 6 months over in Korea. I did it on a daily basis. I didn't know the side effects or what it was. I just knew the feeling, and I flew back to San Francisco. This was in 1981, and I would draw it off heroin by myself in a motel room, and it wasn't pretty. And I vowed never to do drugs again. And I finished up my term in the Army, and I got out and went back to California and began doing construction and building homes. I was again introduced to another demon called methamphetamine. A few rival drug dealers and a couple motorcycle gangs had introduced me to the big quantities, and I found out that I could make more in a day selling meth than I could work in a week in construction. And they also found out that I was a type of a fighter, so they asked if I'd like to collect money for them too. So this led to a downfall and a many years of in and out of jails and doing year here and there, 2 years here and there, you know. And I'd always picked up the Bible when I got to jail. I've always read it, and I prayed, "Dear Lord, please get me out of this mess. It's going to be 18 months this time, or 12 months, and I need you in my life, and could you please help me? And I'll never mess up again, you know." And I would go to the little Bible study groups, and they'd tell you when the Sally Port door opens after this time in jail, you can go this way or this way. This way is to God, to church, to your family. This way is to the dope dealer's house. And I never got it right. I'd always go towards the drug, the easy money. I always put my family on the side. I had a beautiful wife then, and I ruined her life and my two oldest kids, biological kids' life now. They've just seen their dad behind bars most of their life. So to make it short, I've got more felonies on my hands than I can count, and probably add one of my feet in there too. So I moved up to the state of Washington to get away from California. And again, I got involved in the easy money, the methamphetamine, and my wife had left me. I met a new lady, and we had 2 children, and the drugs were the whole survival of our life, what we did. And it wasn't long before my house was getting raided, and my parents were sad and embarrassed of me, and DTF, FBI, everybody you could think of was coming to my house, and it wasn't nice. Well, then a social worker named Bonnie Blanchard came to the house one day and took my 2 younger boys out of the family, and I would go visit them in the social service behind the double-sided mirror twice a week. And she said, after a few weeks, she said, I could see you love your children. They interact with you, you hug them and everything, but you're always high when you come in here. She said, it's a pretty easy scale, Mr. Tinnell. Put your children in one hand and the drugs and the womanizing and the gambling and the fighting in this hand. Which one should win? Children should win every time, every time. And I took that to heart, and I had tried to straighten up, but I got another felony conviction for drugs and gun charges, and assault and battery with bodily harm on a peace officer. I'd hurt him pretty bad. Well, I got sentenced to 5 years, and one day I was sitting in my cell, and they called me out for a visit on a Saturday morning. And I said, no one come see me. My family's deserted me. I got nobody. I went down into the visiting room. It was my mom and dad from Pueblo, Colorado, Pueblo West. And we had the best visit that I've had with my dad in so many years, and my mom. It was 2.5 to 3 hours. We hugged and embraced and talked. And my mom had looked at me and she said, "Are you going to get out of here and maybe straighten your life up, be more godly and more Christian, and quit doing trouble?" And I said, yeah. You know, we had a great visit. And they left, and I went back to my cell. And the next morning, the counselor wanted to see me. And I went down to his office, and he said, "Phone call for you, Dave." And I picked up the phone. It was my uncle, and he said, "Your dad's gone. He died last night." My counselor gave me a few minutes to go to my cell and take a shower and cry, because in prison, men don't cry. You don't show your feelings that way. While I was in there crying, I prayed, and I came out, and I went to my cell. And I did what I've never done before, and what God asked me: quit playing both sides of the fence. Quit breaking out your Bible when you're in trouble. Praying when you're in trouble. When you're in the time of need, you're asking for help, and here you go again. Your dad passed away, you're going to ask for help again, or you're going to quit playing both sides of the fence. And I truly did what I should have did many years ago. I surrendered to God. I gave him my whole body, my whole spirit, my whole self. I gave him everything. I did the rest of my time, and I was released from prison, and I left Washington State, and I came to Colorado. So it's been a long journey. I'm here to say that I recently just got my state of Colorado addiction counseling license. I share my story. I'm giving back to the community. But what I do want to say is, as many times as I gave up on Jesus Christ, he never gave up on me. He's got me through the struggle. So what I would like to reach to you folks, or if anybody out there, is if there's anybody that thinks my background's been too bad, my story's not good enough, there's no way God's going to love me, that he does work miracles, and not to give up. No matter how this story affects you or somebody next to you, I'm still going to be at the church, and I'm still going to be cleaning the bathrooms on Saturday, and collecting communion and collecting offering and doing what I can and handing out bulletins. If you ever see me out in the church or out in public, I'm free. I'm here to talk to you. I'll help you, and to embrace God and share his love for you. Thank you.